Action surge. Action surge. This is like the quickest into action surge we've gone in a long time. The part of that is because Ben is only going to be able to be here for like the first 10 minutes, and then he's unfortunately going to have to leave us. But there's nowhere else to start, really, is there? How was that for everybody? How's everyone doing? What about you, Doug?
Yeah, we have to hear from Doug first.
Yeah.
Well, it was. I have to start with the end, don't I?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, what I was surprised actually that I got emotional about. I mean, I suppose I shouldn't be really, but I was surprised. Some of what we just learned, I knew because I wrote it, or I wrote the essence of some of it. But hearing you describe it and how you told it, it was. And it was a mixture of things. It wasn't, it.
Yeah. So what I did was we've talked about how different people send me backstory and send me character notes and character ideas, and some people send me bullet points, and some people are like, oh, I think maybe this. And what Doug does is Doug writes prose and sends me like stories, sends me little short stories and memories, like really beautiful stuff. And you wrote before we started. How Calnus came to be with his father, the tree speaker. And you wrote this scene in which his mother, cradling an egg, hides an egg in the base of an oak tree, and the tree speaker takes it, and she runs off into the woods, being pursued by something, making as much noise as possible. That's the essence of what you gave me.
Yeah.
At what point did you realise that was what was happening?
In this story?
Yeah, like when you start to see it sort of play out like a silent movie on the top of the tower, as soon as the trees appeared, were you like, oh, this is what we're going to see?
I didn't think that until you talked about the trees walking.
Right.
Or actually, I had a real clue when Calnus's spectral father
when Cathartic
was hit by...
Because also you had the name Reactha, that was your name, or Riathka, right?
Reactha was the name I gave to my...
You didn't give me. You didn't give. I don't think you gave him your father a name.
No, I didn't.
No, so Cathartic is your father's name.
Yeah, in my story, we never met my father.
No,
he was already dead.
Yeah, but I thought because I messaged you a couple of weeks ago, and I said, "Are you okay for me to just tweak a few of the things you've written? Can I have that trust?" And you were like, "Of course, man. Do whatever you want."
It was really, really cool to see something that to experience something that I had written as an idea come to life over a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was back in when we all created our characters. It was, when was it? July 2023?
Yeah, around there, like maybe August, September, we really started getting in. Everyone's characters were finished by about September.
Yeah. I wrote my little story that I sent you on a plane to, I can't remember where in the U.S. for a convention. And I was sat in my seat, and I had all these ideas about Calnus, and I just wanted to, I was thinking about his backstory, so I wrote all of that on a plane, sitting there,
Doug, this entire episode, you were so brilliant in everything. And again, this is improvised storytelling. You had plans, but there was no reason for you to do all the stuff that you did, and for it to go as well as you did, and then rolling a nat 20.
That nat 20.
Yeah.
Nat 20.
Yeah.
I have written down. I'll just read you verbatim what I have. DC 20 persuasion to get through to Calnus's parents. Sorry, nat 20 persuasion to get through to Calnus's parents. They are silent in any case. They opened their mouths to scream, but no sound comes out. And you're like, it's not going to happen. No one's going to use an action to be like, stop. And I felt was it almost a joke?
No, it wasn't actually, though I can see why you might have.
Because it almost felt like or like a throwaway, like a kind of like, I guess I'll try this,
Well, it kind of was, but it wasn't a joke. It was.
Yeah, that's
a
poor choice of words.
No, I think I know what you mean. That it wasn't. Yeah, I just thought I got to try something. They're here. They can't be. And it's the telling of the story as well. If I hadn't tried to reach them. I also had a bit of Lord of the Rings and Samwise and Frodo. Don't give in to it, Mr. Frodo.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
That's good. In you.
whatever that line is that they had. You know?
No, that's it. Verbatim, I think. Whatever.
Yeah.
Good in the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's good in the world. There's good in you, I know it. That's
Yes.
yeah.
There's good in this world,
It
Mr.
was-
Frodo, when it's
the
worth fighting.
episode was pure combat.
Yeah.
And yet it was
Yeah.
probably the most narratively, narrative-heavy combat situation we've ever had.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
things happening. I don't know, I've got to go, so it's like, I want to say a couple of things.
Yeah, sure.
One is, we use the deck of many friends more than we've used it before.
Twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite liberally, both very, very beneficial, both tactically useful, but also kind of narratively useful. That was a cool moment. But I just think the way in which each layer of the story told more and more of Kel's story as we went up a level and up a level and up a level. And it just felt really, really strong with what the decisions that you were making, the decision that everyone was making. I felt like even when the roles didn't go our way, everyone was playing well. But I do want to get this in before I have to head off. As someone who has lost a member of their family, it was very it was very nice. And so yeah, thank you for that. Sorry, this is
No,
pretty
no,
weird to say,
don't
but
be.
like it was very well done. Sorry.
No.
Can we
Sorry.
stop and
Yeah.
No, it's fine. You can keep going because I think it's important. I think it's really important because, I don't want to stop because that's what this is about, right? This is us being us. But I just think that is so. It's great, and if people can watch it, it's just a stupid game, but it's nice that you get to do that. So yeah, it was good. Anyway, carry on, roly poly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, don't be. My God,
Yeah, but
why you
stop.
have like literally nothing to apologise for. You have nothing to apologise for.
Yeah.
And I yeah, it's
It was good role play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
millennial therapy, right?
Fucking millennial therapy, because also it's the most unhinged opening we've ever had. To an episode. It's like
Yeah.
the whiplash that people are going to get from it, because it's like we start off and it's like, whoa, hey, and I fucking reanimate a corpse, and it's like, whoa, Weekend at Bernie's.
Brian.
Fucking Brian. But that's the beauty of this the whole thing. Everything felt true and honest and organic, and then that moment, that beautiful improvisational moment of you showing the spoon. And it was just so powerful and so brilliant and so honestly yours. A thing that you built into the way your character was going to work and how it could happen to that. Like, we're 20 odd episodes in. It's so beautiful and so mechanically simple, but so deft and like, you handed a guy a spoon and I started crying.
Yeah.
In out of context, that's wild. But it was just so brilliant, and thank you for doing it. I think it was really amazing. So.
Because I think it's from obviously people who've lost a member of their family, like, it's very cathartic because that's the moment that everyone dreams of, right? Is being able to summon them back for a moment to say what you want to say. But on another level as well, it's like, as someone who never knew their parents as well, like that, being able to say, you had a hand in who I am, and I hope I am the person that you wanted me to be, or that that you can be proud of. And that was like, you couldn't have done it any better in that way.
Well, I mean, that was Harry as well.
It was hard because we had we've had a couple of breaks in this episode because we had to move sets in, and we finished this break, and like, we are running so far over. Like,
Yeah.
we're so late. Like, normally we're done by 4 o'clock. It's like 7:30 at night. Like, everyone's got to go. Everyone's got to go home, and I said,
Back tomorrow.
we're back
you know,
tomorrow.
like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Yeah.
we had a very early morning, most
Yeah.
of the very early morning yesterday. We've all working. We've come in here an excruciating long day,
Yeah.
an excruciatingly emotional day.
Yeah.
I want to come back again and do it all.
But
Yeah.
before we went back in, I know that, we were not in a bad way, but the room was like, oh gosh, and I was like, I said, like, I promise it'll be worth it. I promise this will be worth it.
Yeah.
I said to you yesterday, we were having lunch together, and I said, I'm so excited about I'm so excited about this. I think it's what I obviously didn't tell you what it was, but whatever's coming is the thing I'm maybe the most excited about.
Yeah.
So it was very gratifying. Look, Ben, does this feel like a good time
Yeah.
for us to take a little?
Yeah. little break. Thank you for letting me have a cry.
Honestly, nothing makes you feel better sometimes than having a crisis. It's such a good release.
Yeah, I don't normally cry unless it's just me watching Armageddon. I do all the
I think
time.
everyone does. I think that's...
Oh my God, it's just insane. I watch it over Christmas. I was like, why am I crying? Because it's great. But yeah, there are lots of things that happen in the episode. You guys will cover it, but like, thank you. It's really important, and I hope that people watching at home, you know, that this sort of thing is able to kind of us recontextualize how things are in the real world, and it's such a small thing, but it is really meaningful to be able to kind of go, oh, that's a really lovely, beautiful moment, and you did it so well, so well. You'll watch it back, and you'll see every single one of us crying.
As soon as Alex, that was it
Yeah.
for me.
I mean, I almost saw Harry break.
Yeah, I was very close. That's the closest I've ever come to crying at a D&D table. Yeah, I think it was something to do with, I don't know, I think it was something when I started that vision at the end, I was like, and he's holding an egg.
Yeah.
And I think there is something about knowing it. I felt a little bit like a doctor delivering like a bad prognosis. Like, I'm going to now show you how your parents died. And it,
Or how he lived.
yes, but it felt, it felt exciting as a storyteller, cruel, and I don't know. I just, that I'm not a big emotionally.
Questions to ask the spinner.
Yeah. Fuck that guy.
Beg your pardon?
We've got some questions to ask the spinner.
Yeah, that fucking guy. Right, we're going to take a tiny edit. I mean, it won't even be a break. So we're back. Doug's wearing pajamas. Doug's been so deeply traumatized. He's regressed to a child state. Can I just briefly say that what we haven't talked about yet, which I think is very important, was also the debut of Grabby Hands.
now the Christmas special's linked.
Genuinely, absolutely fucking terrifying, trying to manoeuvre Mark's beautiful and delicate minis with Grabby Hands.
And these were
Gorgeous.
the detail, like.
Can I bring this dragon back?
Yeah, please do.
Can you pass it round?
Yeah,
when you
I'm
show the class?
Gotta
I'm
really
also
wanna see that.
going to take this top layer off because there's
Yeah,
a whole...
Now it's quite tricky to take off, so I'm
Okay.
going to help you do it.
Okay.
So
Watch now as all of our cameras.
it's quite tricky. It's a tricky top to remove. Alex. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, I can see what you mean now.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we lay that
Oh,
down there,
no wonder
Wow.
Dolly
what we
wanted
can
to sit
see
on that.
Wow.
Yeah, no wonder.
is the throne room.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Doug, stand up, it lights up.
Yeah.
I know, I knew that.
There are little
It's like-
braziers that have little flickering LEDs in them. You never got to see it.
Now,
amazing.
question for you here. You said to us that, not Ceravax,
Cavilius?
Carvilius, if we had proceeded upstairs... Oh, no, it was Ceravax, sorry. Ceravax would have been sat.
No, Cavilius.
Oh, it was going to be
Okay.
Carvilius.
So shall I read to you what I had written for
Yes.
if you went up into that
Yes,
throne room?
please do.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so this is what I had. The battle with Segavax. I did some of this for you anyway. You enter a room of white marble, a great golden throne atop a set of obsidian steps. In the throne sits Carvilius, Antiqua of the virtuous Aurum, right hand of the sinless Barabask. Her face looks faded since you last saw her. The bright gold of her scales dimmed, her eyes hooded. Her complexion is made all the more pale by the brilliance of the dragonborn that stands at the feet of the steps. Great golden wings unfurl from his back, his head covered by a long wrap of yellow silk. He wears robes of bright blue and wields a pike. And then Carvilius was going to say, in Draconic, dispatch them, Segavax, I will secure the worm. And she was going to look up and teleport.
Got it. I was about to say, because I was intrigued to know how she would obviously transform into a dragon, how that would have played, like how she would have gone
So
upstairs.
she was
would
always
have
going to.
teleported.
She was always going to be. So essentially, this was like a proper. In my head, it's like a proper, old-fashioned, like, almost like a beat 'em up. Like I that you're kind of going up, and it's boss battles, and
Yeah,
people
yeah.
are. So the bottoms of those might come off as well. So put it down really gently. So the chains are metallic. Chains are metallic. Sorry, the chains are magnetic. You can remove.
So this is a new Parvus model.
a new Parvus
with
model
things
and
attached.
the new Carvilius model. So the Carvilius is slightly less
Does have
gold
the
than the
gem?
original Carvilius. There's a black gem.
Can you do me a favour?
Yes.
When we got to the top of Mount Atria,
Yes.
whose bodies were missing? Which Antiqua didn't have, we never found bodies for?
Themself is the only one.
No, as in,
Not the Antiqua, the
no, sorry, I
gods.
meant the
Virtuous.
gods. The
Themself
virtuous.
is the only one. So Aurum was the first one that you saw dead. Because Aurum was the kind of military leader.
Of course,
And
sorry,
their
we
tower
found-
was was highest next to the.
Because Dolly, sorry, all I can remember was Dolly not finding a body.
So Dolly found. So the person who didn't find a body, no one could find Thaelon's body.
That's it, and
And
Thaelon
when, and in
was-
fact, I had to listen back to this in the break because I couldn't remember Carvilius's voice. So I had to go back towards the end of episode 2, or the beginning of episode 2, where Carvilius is saying, or the end of episode 2, sorry, where Carvilius says to Parvus, Aurum long suspected falsehood,
That's
back
right, yeah.
even in the days of Sentiasa. You know, all this sort of, because I couldn't fucking remember how they talked.
It's so funny, we had that conversation, I'm not sure it was on the BTS, about when you're voice acting, about like it's a morphed voice and you have so many that you might forget.
Yeah, it's really hard to remember everyone's voices.
Now, I have a question.
Yes,
And sorry to make more work for Mark.
he's not actually that golden.
Do we need to do a new Kel to give him that lovely golden shine?
Kel should be more golden than that, but we've always interpreted him slightly darker. But I realised that actually as I put
covered
the
in
mini
muck,
on, and I
maybe.
thought this is not the moment to do it. Action Surge is the moment
Yeah.
to do it. Yeah, maybe we could get a new gold that's
He's
super
got a
gold.
suntan there. He's
Yeah,
been
that's
outside a
true.
lot.
Covered
Yeah.
in mud.
He's rolling in the mud.
Yeah.
It's like a face good for the scales.
Good for the scales.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there were a number of things you did in this episode which really surprised and delighted me. To work backwards from where we ended, obviously, careful with that.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Nat 20 on Persuasion was an absolute game changer
Yeah.
for Kel
Yeah.
in terms of effectively ending the chance of. I mean, they do serious fucking damage. They do radiant damage. Breath weapons.
Oh my God.
They are immune to non-magical fire.
Non-magical fire.
Well, I would say non-magical. I put NMF, which in my code is non-magical force, but actually it's not force at all. It's piercing, bludgeoning, and slashing. They're immune to poison, charmed, exhausted, frightened, grappled, restrained, petrified, paralyzed, poisoned, and prone. Like they're really awkward. They don't hit for a ton of damage. They do 1d8 plus 4 piercing and 2d6 radiant. And then they can do a breath weapon of 3d10. But they were just meant to. There was meant to be. It wasn't like I didn't want Kel to be killed by his parents. I wanted Kel to just struggle through that horrible thing of having to fight and defend himself.
Yeah.
And then you rolled a nat 20. So that was like amazing and changed the course of everything.
Slightly
the-
miraculous.
There's a lot of high rolls.
The
actually,
brilliant thing was Mantle of Whispers, and the whole plan that emerged of bringing Segavax down. Because I had not anticipated that was possible, and also he then thaumaturgy. I mean, actually, Dolly like doubled your kills for the campaign or something today. You did two more kills, which is like unheard of. But more than that, without Dolly,
Dolly's big day out.
without Dolly, that would have been so much worse. Because Dolly had the idea to bring Segavax down to you, and then Dolly created the thaumaturgy, which took the 2 silvers away. So all you had to, and then Saban Zumar.
Oh my god.
So I want to say something on the action surge, so it's really clear for everybody. I'm really loath to reveal mechanics of the Deck of Many Friends, but I am going to in this instance. Erastus Gracey, who previously was sort of overtaken by Jaxie Flaxseed, the Tabaxi Taxi.
I love that word.
I gave you guys the chance. Do you want to bring Erastus through?
Ben didn't even hesitate.
Ben said yes, because it would have been amazing, because he's got a 2, and you know he's got a 2. And also, he would have animated all the dead in the room.
Yeah.
Every single
Yeah.
one of those Dragonborn would have started fighting for you.
Wow.
And been better than.
And been better than
the
Brian.
zombie.
Yeah. But I had like an opposed check, and Saban Zumar wins. Erastus remains in the deck. Then I said to Ben, do you want to let Erastus through? He said no. The more pulls from the Deck of Many Friends where Erastus doesn't end up on the field of battle, he's going to get harder and harder and harder to resist.
Andy's gone.
God, Andy.
You've got a 2 coming, and if you don't use it, he's going to make you use it. And a 2 is bad enough to really fuck your shit up. You know,
Yeah.
it's a failed last death save. It's a big baddie. Even with Carvilius is a young gold dragon with a few things reduced. It was a funny one, this. You used those lotions so quick. In my head, I was like, because obviously I know what's coming, so I'm giving them 3 battles. I knew the last one with Carvilius was a story battle more than it was a battle. So there were various, the gem had, I think the gem had 80 HP and an AC of 14. Like, the gem's very gettable, the gem's very destroyable. But but there's a dragon. We get to kind of have, as a storyteller, you get to kind of have your cake and eat it. Call lightning.
Yeah.
You've got this thing. I mean, Tower of Orthanc. Like, it's so obviously Lord of the Rings, but I love it so much. And I requested, can I have a white Tower of Orthanc from Mark? And he came up with the amazing idea of having these. We talked about chains, and he came up with these little, magnetic chains. All this wonderful stuff. And I was like, we get to have a dragon and blah blah. But that's a story battle. And in my head, I'm like, well. They will get up the stairs. They won't fucking. Maybe one or two of them will get a long rest in, through this serum up the top of the stairs, but they won't all do it. And then maybe they get through the first room, and then maybe they go up to Segavax and they have a long rest before Segavax, or maybe even after Segavax, and then they go in fully stocked to Carvilius. And you'd already used 2 of them before the session even started. You only had 3 left.
No, they had 3 before we even got the session
Yeah, we
started.
only
We had
had
2
2
left.
left.
I mean, and you're sort of going, well, I can't.
They're done.
Yeah, I can't. Asker's cream is a horrible. It's something that just makes your lip curl automatically. It's very tricky.
Yeah, but when you see her skin,
she looks
it
amazing.
might sound gross, but it does work.
But yeah, it was careful of picking up by the wings because a talon has snapped once and has been repaired. Sorry, Mark, you didn't know that, but you do now.
Spoilers, Mark.
But yeah, that was a lot. That was a lot to take in. That was a big ep to do.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
just to close the loop on the Deck of Many Friends thing, Erastus will get harder and harder to resist
Okay.
until he forces you to
And now,
pull.
yeah.
Every pull.
yeah, every pull. He's fucking trying to get through.
So what
his spirit isn't.
What we ideally want is for him to pull through when we're trying to manipulate someone else.
We done it now because we pulled him. He didn't win, but we did put. So
He's not satisfied.
So shouldn't he have?
He had
didn't use him.
an opposed check with
Yeah, so he's
the
done.
Banzu.
No,
No.
So why did he not pull through? The second?
because Ben said
I
no.
asked if he wanted
He
to.
didn't let him.
Oh,
we
okay.
lit-
So Ben didn't
So,
let him.
so essentially, at the moment,
He
you have like a
can't-
weird form of advantage where you have a 2 if you want it, and then whatever you
Yeah.
pull.
Right,
but that's
but
not gonna
actually, that's not
last.
going to last. Like that's the only time that will happen. The next time
Right.
it will be exponentially more difficult and more difficult,
Okay.
and it will be a steep old curve until Erastus forces his will upon you and the story.
Jeez.
I did like.
Yeah, sorry, can we talk about her, like the little bit of lore that came with...
Oh, from Rebulas
Wow.
Market. Yeah. Yeah.
Reb, by the way, is going to absolutely
Yeah,
love
that's Reb Ford.
Reb Ford, by
Yeah.
the way, who I know Ben absolutely does. I also absolutely adore Reb.
Yeah.
Is going to love the fact they got that law drop.
Yeah. Yeah, so we've got Abu and we've got Reb
Ford.
from
So cool.
from today.
What I loved about Boo especially was like, okay, I'm kind of, for the story's sake, I'm kind of glad that it wasn't Segavax that got.
Yeah. Oh my god. That was
Because I also think people would have been like, oh, that you kind of got robbed of this fight.
That's why
Yeah.
we did it. Did I do
Yeah.
it in front of the
but
screen?
it's
Yeah.
the flip of it. It could
What
have
if it
what
could have
if
been
it
you.
one of us?
It could have been you. So
Yeah.
Abu and I spoke. Abu and I spoke quite early. He was one of the first people to do the thing.
How scared were you that might have happened?
Really scared. Really
So what-
scared.
but it was
'Cause
at
it's
14 or
really
16?
it's really bad. It's a it was
Why?
and also the wisdom save was DC 16.
Oh,
It's a high wisdom save. There is a decent chance that if it's not Kel, one of you disappears.
Oh my
Yeah.
and then we just what? Why? Maybe
Then you're just to play it. Then they're gone. I mean,
You're
you'd
gone.
have to figure out. What I've written down is
They come
whomever
back,
is
yeah.
closest to Sabanzu's result rolls a DC 16 wisdom save or comes with him to whatever comes next.
Wow.
Wow.
Whatever comes next.
It's a funny one because I think for that particular battle, Reb's card actually wasn't that beneficial.
No.
And it in a way it played out because it could have been useful if obviously we hadn't rolled a nat 20, but we did, and that's the way the dice just go.
Yeah.
But, probably still not the most amazing of helps. But because that card gave such an incredible lore drop, that card felt so integral in a
Yeah.
completely different way.
Yeah, it's. I'll reserve
Okay.
I'll reserve that point until something else happens.
I will say it felt like we all really leveled up in our combat skills today.
Oh, speaking of
Yeah,
which, next
yeah.
time you have a long rest, you'll be level 8.
Wait.
You'll be level
Oh, no,
7.
no, you
Level
said it.
7.
You said it. You can't
Everyone
re-
died!
you
How
can't-
did everyone
Take
die?
backs.
Tell us his parents were
can't
talking
back-
about him and the dragon ate you.
No, take back.
The egg fell to the floor and smashed. It was a different egg. They weren't your parents. It was a chicken's egg. It was a hen's egg. But you're all tiny. Those dragonborn are real size.
Yeah, to battling today. Although, actually, in that Segavax round, I didn't do a single point of damage.
Oh, really?
Nope. That
Wow.
didn't do
Really?
any damage.
Really?
Nope. Because
Because you're on fire.
I was on fire, so I moved around. I think I took maybe I took one lot. So I moved around. I took 2 shots with a bow. I think one missed, one landed, didn't do great. Then I was on fire. My next action was to put that fire out.
Yep.
So I used second wind, moved back again to try and keep my health up because for me, I've danced relatively low. For me.
Yeah.
I think the lowest I got to was 17, which someone with 55 HP, that's pretty low for me.
Can I just enjoy a little Schadenfreude? I love how stressed Holly gets
know.
when Ella gets low on HP.
know.
Yeah, I don't
I could it's that because you're not used
That's
to
my
it.
state of being
Yeah,
all
exactly.
the time.
Like Dolly's almost dead, whereas
But you can control a battle in a way I cannot. I
Yeah.
can only ever take one person. And if I have got more than one person in front of me, I am in big, big trouble.
was your plan with the pike to push someone off the edge of the tower?
Yes. So the pike gives push,
which is weapon
every
mastery.
single hit pushes them 10 feet.
So you can push someone 30 feet in one turn, and there's nothing they can do about it.
I could have pushed them
Because you
40.
can go
I
hit. Yeah,
I could have
there's
pushed
no
them
save.
40 feet if I'd
I don't
action
think
surged.
there's a save.
There's no save. If I hit, they go back 10 feet.
That's mad.
So I could have
It's
pushed.
situational, but stuff like this, like
could've
it's
done-
that seems
it's
like
incredibly.
That seems
Why
like
I-
it needs a tweak.
It's why I grabbed.
Weren't on the tire, it wouldn't matter.
It's why I grabbed the pike.
Yeah, that's very smart.
Yeah.
Because I was like, when Carvilius turned into a dragon, I've written in here, I have an idea. And then I wrote, or not. And then I was like, oh, maybe the other, I don't know. But that was the plan, was if Carvilius wasn't going to change, I rolled higher than Carvilius on initiative. If I had landed all 4 attacks, there is an argument that I would have pushed Carvilius 40 feet.
Wow.
Wow, that would have been so fucking. She would have turned into a dragon and flown back
Yeah.
up, but it would have been.
that would have been
cool
cool.
as hell!
And then I would have been like, holding my pike like, fuck.
That would have been the most video game moment ever. There's that moment, always that moment, the
Face
character
change.
disappears, and then suddenly they
Face
just.
change. Yeah, and you're like, oh no, what have I done? Just holding my stick. But yeah, that was the plan, was to use push.
Can I play you a piece of music that was a new piece of music for this episode that I don't know if you will have heard because I think it was probably quite low in the mix, but you'll be able to hear it definitely in the show, which is a brand new piece of music that we have, which has been made for us by the wonderful Paul, who is an extraordinarily good composer, and this is Barabasque's music. And is the music of the Sinless, and it will gradually it will get more and more elaborate. And I've wanted to seed it in this interaction with Carvilius.
I noticed.
Yeah.
I was like, for a battle, it was like.
Yeah. So the idea behind this music was that we begin with this very kind of ecclesiastical kind of. It's very beautiful. It's how Barabasque sees himself. And that gradually, as the piece goes on, it becomes darker and more corrupted. And we hear more of the chaos and the evil behind him and his power. Which was kind of nodded to a little bit. Carvilius talked about the power that Barabasque has. But I don't want to lead you anywhere that you're not already taking yourselves.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. This is. I mean, we can talk over it, but we talked about all kinds of nerdy things like Dorian scales and I just this is Paul just being wonderful.
Before anyone asks in the comments, I have no idea, no plans, nothing about releasing this.
Yeah.
I know as everyone
But
wants.
what we are going to do is this is the kind of entry level version, and there were versions which will have lyrics, and there are versions that will be bigger, so that were you to ever find yourself in an opportunity to meet the man himself,
It will be full.
it will be a full.
Wow. Wow.
And I think I said this to Harry last night when you were at mine. I was like, I love the juxtaposition of the first time we meet Barabasque, there is music, and it's him singing this
such a-
ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then like now it's like,
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot to be said for like believing in yourself. You know.
Yeah. Sing for the god you want to be.
Exactly. So I really like the kind of weirdly musically the way Barabasque has sort of evolves.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's a lot of it is by design, but like I love how satisfying it is how the narrative is evolving also via dice rolls. Like it's just so cool, and this episode was a real like moment for that. It definitely felt like the dice were telling the story today as well.
Yeah, they knew what they wanted.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
I got like 3 nat 20s in a row,
There were a
and then I
lot of
think I
nat
got like
20s.
in the over the course of like
I got a lot of crits
10
as well.
rolls, I think I got like 6 nat 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
hell.
crazy.
Harry had to also remind me yesterday when we were practicing all the BBC stuff that I never roll my second attack. As long as it hits, I'm like, that's good. And Harry's like, yeah, but like you crit on a 19 out of 20, love.
Yeah,
like
and you get
should.
to roll with advantage.
Yeah,
well, that
so
was the thing.
I was
that-
always forgetting my advantage roll.
you
So it
have
just like hit, and I'd be like, it hits.
You have Vex, right?
Yes.
Vex on a short sword, and the weapon mastery property of short sword is Vex, and if you hit, it gives you advantage on the next attack. And you'd roll the first one and be like, 16 plus whatever, that's fine.
It hits.
And you'd be like, no, don't, because you have a 1 in 10 chance of critting on that second
yeah,
attack.
I really do.
Yeah.
And one day that'll go up to.
Which actually becomes a 1 in. I don't know how.
I don't know what
that's
then.
work. 1 in
Eventually,
5
one
chance?
day I'll get it as an 18 as well.
Yeah.
18, 19s, and 20s for me.
mad.
I kept forgetting to do things as well with those spectral wolves.
You were doing
yeah, I think-
amazingly.
I gotta
Like,
say,
like,
I gotta
you were
say,
doing
like,
real good.
You took yourself to the next
Unbelievable,
level.
Really
like
did.
whatever have you. Sounds really stupid. Have you like gone away and like read a load of shit in
studied.
between now and last time and like have you crammed?
No, not really. I think it's just finally kind of soaked in.
Because it's so like it's such a pronounced change in your mastery of how your druid works, and suddenly like that move where you go somewhere, overcomes Hank, you attack with your claws, and then Hank teleports you away, doing more damage. Like, it feels like a move in like Smash Bros or something. It feels like something where you're like, oh, it's so annoying. It keeps hitting me with the same thing, and I can't do anything about it. Like, it feels like fighting someone in like Mortal Kombat, where there's just like a really. What was the one in Mortal Kombat where they used to be able to open their chest and fire like a gun at you? Scorpion.
It's because of the C. Corvex?
Something like that. They'd just be able to open their chest and shoot.
All I can think of is Ceravax.
Yeah.
No, it's Corvax. Like,
Where is Ceravax actually? Segovax.
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 Oh, yes.
Yeah, I want to see him.
Yeah.
Segovax is
do you know what I think it
here.
could be then, Doug? If you haven't gone away and crammed, there's a sense of there comes a point in D&D, I think, where you can once you've kind of there comes a point in which you can relax into it and allow your subconscious to take over on like so much more of it. Like because when you're first like sitting down and playing, it's taking up your subconscious, but also your active brain. It's taking up everything, right?
Yeah.
And there comes a point in which you go to yourself, oh no, I've got this. And your subconscious can take over on the autopilot stuff, which allows you to spend that time in between going, actually, I've got an idea to do this and this and this.
Yeah, I know how to do the mechanics, so I'll just figure out strategies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, I think for me, anyways, there's been a little bit. You remember I said after the battle for Castle Grenwood,
Yeah.
I said I didn't like my
Choices.
in that episode because I wanted to be braver than that, and I wasn't. And so I've been on this journey to try and be a bit braver with my choices, and also to to understand better how this druid character works. So yeah, I haven't exactly been studying tomes or anything like that, but I did last night. I sat down and I looked at it and I went, we're probably going to be in battle tomorrow, and I have to figure out what I'm going to do.
Well, this being Kelnis's story, it felt perfect.
Yeah.
Like, he was like so in control all the time and like just doing all this cool stuff, and then it really felt like the interaction at the very top of this tower that we've been trying to climb. It was earned. Like every bit of it.
served.
Yeah. It felt it wasn't. It hadn't been intended as a series of encounters in which Kel would prove his worth before meeting his parents, but it turned into that.
Yeah.
It turned into like, he deserves this moment. He's earned this. Like, Kelnis the character, and like Doug the player. It was just like, yeah, man. Yeah.
You know what I love about what's happening with our campaign, with our story as well, is that what happened in this episode, and it happened with the Castle Grenwood battle as well, is that this is not the end. There's all that we've done is reveal more.
Yeah.
Like Elowen said on the journey to the Sanctum, she said, I miss home, and that story's still going. That's continuing.
Yeah.
And all we learned today really was how Kel was abandoned.
Yeah.
And a little bit more about his backstory, but nothing's resolved.
No.
It's like
It's all just
it's
and
one of those
then.
things where like answers end up just giving you more questions.
Yeah.
Well, particularly that last moment of
Yeah.
the thing that you see where
You now have someone that you have
the spinner.
already
Yeah.
interacted with.
Yeah.
Like, why did the
Your
spinner
relationship to
hurt?
that person has now fundamentally totally changed. And we're going to see them again likely. So,
It's spinner.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you'd expect at some point.
You might want to now.
Yeah,
Like
you might
before
wanna
there was no
seek
reason
him
for you
out.
to seek the
No,
spinner out.
yeah.
Perhaps now there is.
Yeah.
Did Cal know it was the spinner?
No. That was the main thing I changed.
Kel didn't even. This came up. This came into my mind during this episode, and there's something else we need to talk about actually, because I wrote it into my description of Kel's physical appearance.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to bring it up this session because I didn't know if you remembered it, and I don't know what significance it might have either.
Go on.
Well, we can't do it here, can
Oh,
we?
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
'cause it
Fine.
may come up later.
I wasn't sure.
But I forgot what I was going to say. What were we talking about?
Cal's backstory and like where he's going from here.
Yeah, what came to mind was that originally I thought that his elvish parents hadn't really told him much about his background, but tonight I thought, actually, they probably did. Or at least Leithmal, his elvish father, probably at least said, I believe that your parents were good,
Yeah.
but I didn't know them. And probably just said, I did not know them. I found you.
Yeah.
But that there was this desire on Kel's part to find out more about his biological parents and the belief that was instilled in him that they were good, that their abandonment hadn't been malicious.
I'm intrigued with the spin a bit. I'm intrigued to find out if what we saw was the spinner in earlier days of his life where he didn't hold the position he now holds, and maybe was he out just doing general web work, or finding out what was so important that if he was who he is now, what was so important about them that the right-hand man of the Spider Prince was there doing the job himself?
Or was it them that was important and not?
Was it Kel?
Yeah.
Was it them? Was it whatever? But like, were we seeing a man who was just like, I was just following orders back then, or was this a man who was like that high up in the chain, and it was still like that important that he had to go and do it himself?
I'm interested to see, because both Runa and Genevieve are alive, and I'm interested to see what's happened to them, because Barak's fallen. So that would not make me think that Runa has gone through a Carvilius-like acceptance of whatever Barabask has done. And we've heard nothing of the human capital. So I'm very interested to see that the last two remaining members of the Antiqua and what their thoughts and feelings are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did I feel about seeing Parvis again?
Do you know what's interesting was the feeling of relinquishing the duty of freeing Parvis to someone else. I, the me, not the character, really didn't want to do that. Like I was like, no, I've got to be the now. I, the character, not the me, is like doesn't fucking matter who does it. It's the tribe. But I, the me, not the
Alex.
character, was like, no, like I want to be the one to do that. That's
Well, he's not free yet, is he?
No, but
Well,
you're
yeah,
like,
true, yeah.
Ben, just aim at the gem. Hit the gem, Ben.
But yeah, it was.
Yeah, I don't think any of us, in the next episode, at the start of the next episode, I think we've probably all got an idea of the first thing we'd like to engage with. But I feel like most of us would have an understanding, as both us the characters and us the me's,
Well, just like
that's kind of Parvis is very much for I.
yes, and just like we knew that this moment was for Kelnis.
You know, there's no.
It's you're not proposing it anyone else's way.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
exactly. So
Yeah.
you just like.
And I
That's
think
for
we're all
you and-
very sensitive to that.
Do you,
Like,
do you know what I actually really enjoyed was standing up for Parvis's name.
oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was really
because
lovely.
again, listening back to episode 2, I says that is not a kobold, that is a Parvis. You have made them you has made them a Parvis.
And he meant that derogatory.
100%. Like,
Yeah.
and now
And
being
in
like,
this moment, I was like,
that is not a worm, that is a Parvis. Or
Yeah.
something like that. Like you inverted that.
yeah,
But I's view of the world, I think, is now
changing.
so much more inclusive.
yeah.
It's very interesting because we've said before, how much do you think your characters, you get it all the time in AMA, how do you think your characters have changed? And you always say, I don't know if I has changed that much.
This is a moment where it has.
Yeah, where you go, it's a little bit like trying to see whether or not your own hair is growing. Like if you look in a
Yeah.
mirror every day, it's until someone hasn't seen you in 6 months
Yeah.
and they go, wow, Harry, I feel like that cut's really starting to work.
It is.
It is.
Thanks very much.
It is.
That's so nice you'd say. I feel like it's at the point where like teenage years, okay, they were in a little bit of trouble during their teenage years and now they've got a job. Like it's not a great
Straighten up
job.
and fly right.
It's not a great job, but you know, maybe they're dating someone and that person seems real nice and you know, and you go, okay, I think maybe we can see the light at the end of the tunnel for the haircut.
Oh, the other thing I was kind of hoping to do, and
Shout out to John.
he will be back, I promise. We promise, we're not keeping him from you. I really wanted to kick someone through the glass.
Oh, mate, I hadn't even
None of
thought about
them,
that.
none of them were near it. I roll with advantage on athletics and strength
Would have been
checks.
so cool.
I just wanted to kick a dragonborn through a window.
Yeah, would have been
so
really
hard.
cool. I hadn't
And then
even
I was like,
thought
and
of
now I'll get to push someone off.
It's so funny as well because as a DM, you have to be very, or you try to be, you know, like very flexible in your approach. You know, the trickiest one actually was like you not speaking Draconic. And I know that felt as I was doing it, I was like, oh, that kind of sucks of me.
Doug doesn't either.
But Doug speaks a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
kinda-
but
He speaks a
Doug
bit.
doesn't. Kelnis speaks a bit.
Callan
But no,
speaks a bit. Callan
The
doesn't
actor,
speak it.
the actor Doug Cockle speaks it fluent.
Oh, yeah.
It's a Doug Cockle speaks it
Yeah.
fluent.
But I kind of like that as well.
But it was like it doesn't because to
I
me
wouldn't-
Mantle of Whispers isn't a language.
know.
Like it would be like so you got great info already.
Yeah, I did.
So I was like, so I know in my head I'm like
That info, by the way.
yeah.
that's the reward
yeah.
because
So
also,
that was worthwhile.
yes, it was. I mean everything about it was worthwhile because also
great.
it was so useful because also without you being alive as Charles, there is no way that there would have been a situation in which Segavax wouldn't have come downstairs and just attacked with those 2 silvers because you wouldn't have done the thaumaturgy. Because if you do the thaumaturgy and it's Kelnis's voice in a moment when Kelnis, you know, when you're sort of like, well, you know, or in a moment when he's in the middle of combat, he's not going to give a shit that maybe a Dragonborn whose voice he doesn't know, but he heard a voice downstairs that he didn't recognise. So he's like, go and check that voice for me.
Low-key kind of worried what happens if, the rest of the Dragonborn run upstairs.
Well,
We asked it over the body of... and that
I don't want.
arguably doesn't work well for us.
Yeah. I would say on balance, it's not a great look.
Yeah, we have all we've got is a letter from Barabas.
On-
We haven't
on
really got a
this-
letter from her.
On this, not to what if too much, but what if Ceravax?
Segavax.
So,
Okay.
what is Ceravax? Is like
You're
a
merging
trans-
them.
Peter Serafinovich.
Segavax. What if Segavax had read the scroll?
Wouldn't have fucking-
There would be nothing to him.
Wouldn't
Depth
have
to it, and like
no fucking.
because there was
Yeah,
a
you read it
moment.
yourself.
No
There was a
fucking
moment
way.
under the table when he came down where I was considering just like a little roll out.
Here's
so
what
it,
I,
like,
here's what I
onto
have
his foot.
written. Here's what I have written. Segavax in the throne room. I have, which is my little section for this book. I have all in caps. Segavax is insane, proper hateful. Like it's you can't reason with the right hand of a dictator, even by going, the dictator's wrong.
And he's
This is
loving it.
all wrong, and he's like, like, not the Fortis Legion. You know, those you've killed are not bad people necessarily. They are sworn to an order, and they follow a very specific hierarchy and structure, and they are following those orders. The Fortis Legion would be, I will say, the Fortis Legion would be among the most difficult people on the continent to convince of treachery. They're convinced that they are wrong. But just because most of them are good, or most of them are at least, not evil in their alignment. They're probably like lawful neutral, but consider themselves lawful good. Segovax is lawful evil. Segovax it just so happens that the gallant, this current gallant, is an absolute bastard.
Right.
I think it might be my favourite mini, the Segovax mini.
So
the Segovax mini is so cool.
Shape of the wing.
Pictures will all be up by now on the glossary.
Yes, yeah. I'll take the pictures tomorrow and make sure
So you
everything
can
goes
go and
up
have a
with the
look.
glossary. The good doctor, I'm sure, will be doing the
Good
Lord's
doctor,
work
yeah.
to make sure these are all uploaded, because I think this will have a lot of entries. You didn't need to, but you started naming everything.
Yeah.
So the good doctor can blame the rest of the table for that. But I'm sure he will be very excited that there's minis for the glossary, so that will be fine.
It was very interesting for me, like trying to prep all this, because obviously if I'd put Segovax, Carvilius, Kel's parents, and all the golds and all the silvers in a room with you, you would have died.
Yeah.
So it's about how much can I spread those things out, keep each level challenging, and make it cumulatively deadly, but not immediately deadly. And Segovax is an example of, Segovax can do some damage. Like, Segovax is Segovax is like weaker than Iago.
Really?
Just. And also doesn't have an instant kill. And I was like, but these breath weapons, man, are going to be fun. But so many of you have resistance to fire damage.
Yeah, and thank God for that.
Thank God, because that kept you up.
I
that
didn't
kept
go
Dolly
down.
up 100%.
That's the first time
It's also
I've
made Hank's little extra 1d6 feel like little Hank going,
like,
like
and
every time
suddenly
you
I
moved
was like, so.
It actually took
also,
me out as
to
well.
properly take you behind the screen, those 2 silvers that run down with Segovax, if it had turned out that first encounter was a piece of piss, they would have been 2 golds.
Right.
Like, I was like, in my head, I was like, that'll be... But then I was like, hang on, actually, they've got... The cold damage is worse than the fire damage. And actually what I was really pleased with, from a mechanical point of view, was thinking to give them those divine smites.
Yeah.
Because suddenly they're paladins and they're doing radiant damage, and that is much more exciting, and that's much more like, oh my God, these aren't just fire lizards. These are holy order fire lizards. They're all paladins.
And also then setting people on fire, you need to weigh up whether you want to help that person.
Yeah, that flame burst is really fun. I think she is based on originally Segovax was going to be female, because I'm really trying not to lean into the trope of...
Well, Carvilius is female.
Carvilius is female. I'm really trying not to lean into the trope of... bad guys and the tough ones and are always men. And then I realised that I've massively overshot the runway, and almost all the horrible ones are women. Yeah. I was like, Medea is female, Carvilius is female. If I make Segovax female, it's like and the leader of the Gloam that wasn't Morgan was female, and I was like, it looks like I just hate women. I was like, that's not the point at all. It's the opposite point.
Powerful women.
Yeah, I can't stand
women's wrongs.
I think that's what, that fire. For me, I rolled a couple of nat 20s that helped me mitigate quite a fair bit of fire damage, I think.
Yes.
But me being on fire for that round meant that, because I had used the cream, this idea, I would have probably gone in and probably done the best part of 50-odd damage.
Yeah.
If I had not lost my action on that round, I would have did a healthy chunk. So I was essentially didn't have me at all.
Oh. Segovax had an extra. Segovax had an ability I forgot, where he would shout, "We are the light," and everyone was going to get 20 HP back. Wouldn't have mattered. He was the only one.
Only
there,
one in the room, which is probably why you forgot it.
Yeah, probably why I forgot it. It didn't seem as important.
Yeah, you were saying about never mind. No, you were saying about Elowen me getting very stressed when she gets low HP, but I think there's very much. There's a bit of a story that I wrote that I sent to you, and it's very much in line with that. Gremrids walk off the battlefield. They're not carried.
Yeah.
You walk yourself on it, you walk yourself off it. And going for me, this idea that if she starts to feel like she's getting weak...
she panics.
She panics.
It's nice to see that vulnerability as well.
Yeah.
Like, really.
Yes. And it's not just me. I'm not. It doesn't bother me as a player, because
No.
someone will heal me. It's kind of all good. I've got a bag full of potions if someone wants to grab one. But for her, that's very much like I'm letting people down, and that can't happen.
Yeah. We were good. We had this.
It happened
You
once.
did.
But it was close, though. I mean, you were down to what? How many?
17, which for me
I don't know where Radiant's at. Can you have a look at where Ben is on HP?
He went down a lot.
fairly
I'm
low.
looking through people's
Oh, well, then don't.
Do you mind? Yeah.
In case he's written what he smells.
He did go down very low. He went into single digits, I believe.
Which was when he then got a load. And because he buffed himself on the way
Yes,
up.
he did. And actually, he was back at a relatively decent amount when he went into that battle.
Yeah.
I was
I don't
at
like looking
8.
through someone's book.
No,
Feels
totally
really
fine.
No, you're right.
It's like going through someone's handbag.
I've even written like his roly-poly here so I wouldn't have to look.
Oh.
I was down to 8 hit points after we killed Segavax.
8?
8.
You cured wounds to yourself, didn't you?
After the battle.
And then
Yeah.
didn't Cavalius very nearly bring you down to 0 again then? Because didn't Cavalius
think I
attack
was-
you and bite you and...
Yes.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I think I was at.
She is a strong, powerful, horrible woman who turned out to be not evil.
Yeah.
I think I was
No.
at 17
Okay.
when we finally defeated.
I stayed pretty much out of it, although I managed to get a couple of big hits on you. I managed to get a nice smite on you.
24
Yeah.
out of 45 is
So,
where I
like,
was
there's
at.
a feeling
so-
when I does get an attack directed at him. For some reason, it really makes me pull my breath in because, like, I shouldn't be.
No.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
hides, and like,
Yeah.
that's where he also does his best damage. So when he gets attacked, I really get more than anybody else. Like,
Oh no!
he shouldn't be,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he should be safe from a distance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I's first action of the next session, just to turn around to Radiant and go, "Can I has the potion? I has the potion." Like,
And he's
you
got a
was
bag
looking-
full of them. Like,
we is fine. You was looking.
Yeah.
Thank you.
yeah.
Does he actually have loads?
Annie, he's got one more greater healing, I think.
And I'll go.
Unless he hasn't turned the cards. I mean, maybe he's not, but he already had another potion.
Yeah.
Because he can't heal, can he, at all?
He can't heal. Wizards.
Because I do have second wind, which I've
essentially,
enjoyed.
by and
No
large,
damage.
the odd like subclass, or I think there's maybe one subclass for sorcerers. Divine Soul, I think, can heal.
Like with a little touch
But
of...
by and large, sorcerers, warlocks, wizards.
They're damagey
They're
dealers.
damagey boys. They can't heal.
Of which, by the way, he didn't choose to.
Warlocks can heal.
Can they?
But I think...
Warlocks heal. There we go.
Second wind was actually very, 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 very useful. to maybe
subclass.
Oh, it was great. Yeah.
It's the movement now that I have it as well.
It
Really
Doesn't
helps.
matter, but...
No, so let me see. I
We're
can't.
looking if wizards can heal.
Warlocks.
Warlocks.
I can't see
Oh, maybe
anything
not.
that allows them to heal. They don't have first level cure wounds. I'm now on third level. I don't think they can heal. I mean,
There's a subclass.
let me know in the comments. Yeah, I'm sure there
Anyway.
probably is a subclass.
I really enjoyed just the simple thing of having a table in the middle, helping me feel like going to guerrilla warfare.
Yeah.
It's just disappear and then disappear there and pop out another side of the table.
Yeah,
do a
well, you
thing,
know
boom.
what? It's funny because, like I said, way back at the Gnomish workshop, where
Yeah.
I was like,
You had all these plans.
build a dynamic play space for I. Turns out he needed a table. He is a child. He just wanted to make a fort. Like, he needs a table and a tablecloth and a few chairs. He can be like, could I hide behind the legs of the chairs under the table?
I am the same colour as the legs
course
of
you
the
can.
chair.
Yeah, can I-
Well, if you hadn't suggested the plan you had, I was going to suggest we need to flip that table. We need to block the lower that stairs so that they can't come down.
Oh,
Essentially,
that's fun.
It's like quick, guys, barricade
Yeah.
the room.
Yeah, they still might need to.
Yeah, you
There's
still might need to, I
there's still a
guess.
lot more Dragonborn in this
Yeah.
place.
That's
Yeah.
true. I was thinking about that. I have this mad idea. I won't share it
Celestial
tonight.
warlocks. Celestial warlocks.
I have this mad idea for how we might get down off the tower.
Oh God.
Lots
we'll
of
find
rope.
out. We'll
Tie
find out.
all our rope together and just abseil.
Abseil them.
Bringing us down one by one.
No, all at once.
Oh.
Well, let's
throwing
save that.
us.
Save that.
You're
Well, that
just
seems
gonna
to me
throw
to be
us.
the perfect thing to
Let's
move on
throw
to Rollies and Polies, and I will talk about my favourite part of the episode, which, I mean, can't be anything.
20.
Another.
Which can't be anything other than the end, than all that. I mean, I think, yeah, we had a very emotional table. And I'm very aware, like, obviously we all know each other as people. We know those of us who have experienced, like, loss and bereavement, and we also know, you know, the ins and outs of people's current situations and everything that they're kind of going through. And there's a bit of me that as I look around and see people very emotional at the table, I worry. And then there's another bit of me that's like, oh no, actually this feels really good. And I was very glad that it worked. And I don't mean that in a Machiavellian way. I mean that I'm glad that it landed. I'm glad that, because I was aiming for something that meant something.
Yeah.
And I was,
I hope you can tell that it did.
yeah, I
We have
can.
a safe group. to
Yes.
have that emotion with.
Now, had we, and it's funny because I forget we're on camera a lot of the time, or at least
Yeah.
I don't forget, but I'm not thinking about the fact we're on
You're
camera.
not
I'm just
trying to
thinking about
engage
playing the
with the
game.
camera.
And then if we were doing that in a home game, I would have had no worries whatsoever. But then suddenly when we're on camera, I'm like, ooh, I hope I'm not forcing people to expose something that they would rather not experience on camera. But also, I asked for fucking lines and lines
Did,
and veils,
you
and
did.
none of you fuckers gave me any.
Got to tell you don't like people vomiting. And
Yeah, it turns out you didn't mention people vomiting, and none of you mentioned that what happened if I sort of weirdly kill everyone's parents.
that was. I think it's just a testament to us as a table that we are also not scared to have that level of vulnerability with each other.
Yeah. Right, what did you all get? Let's save Ben Starr for last, because
Okay.
he likes to be a special boy. I think the place we should start is Doug Cockle.
82.
82.
I'm still hovering
You are
at it.
like
love that little
unbelievably.
I do, yeah.
It's. I think I've said this many times. It's great grouping. Like with darts, you're just hitting the same. You're unbelievably consistent. The kind of footballer. This will be opaque to everyone other than Alex and I. He's a Harrison Reed. He's a Michael Carrick.
Yeah.
It's just very solid. He's Steve Finnan. You know, he's never really going to do an awful lot wrong. He's who was that? No, he's not Pascal Gross. I do know Pascal Gross.
Pascal-
can change
Pascal
the game.
Gross
Pascal
was-
can
yeah,
change
was
the game.
decent.
He is a. No,
Murray.
wait, everyone stay with us. He
I'm
is
enjoying it.
a.
Continue.
Lewis Dunk.
I tell you who he is. He's Tomiyasu.
These are words.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
don't-
Okay. Who's next?
I'm with you.
Alex, you go next.
102.
Ooh.
Could be quite high.
Aoife de Wilson.
129.
Oh, shut your face! Shut your noise! 129.
We both got that 20.
Respectable 99.
99. Don't mind that. Stick a flake in it. Go on.
For Ben, and it's mad 'cause I didn't know you could do this. It's a nat one.
What?
No, he got
What? 86.
he got 86.
Well, we've 86'd him from this table already. That's a nice little. Oh, don't worry about it. Right. That's it. That's it. There's no.
And you don't drink, but I think everyone's gonna go home and have a drink.
I am. This recap is going to kill me. We are back in the studio in just over 12
The
hours.
trains the way they are, I'm going to get home.
Baby.
Let's all have a sleepover.
Let's all have a sleepover.
Doug's got his pajamas.
Doug's got his He'll just curl up under the table.
Oh, I was looking at the foot of the bed.
That's much
Puppy
nicer.
dog.
Thanks very much, everybody. We'll see you very soon for more adventures in the world of Reliquia. And then we say D&D, baby!
Bye.
Woo!
God, I can't woo.
Can't woo.
I can't woo.
Can't woo.
Lost his word.